All right. Well, hello everyone in state and local policy class. Today I'm joined by Representative Moffie Funk, who represents Montana House District 82 in Helena. She's here today to talk with us about Montana House Bill 228, which basically creates paid family medical leave insurance. Um, and I guess I can send it over to you, Moffie, to talk about, I guess, the first of all, the problem that the bill would be solving in Montana.
Thank you. Thank you, Logan. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, it would solve, if we could get it passed, it would solve a big, huge problem. I find it embarrassing, to be quite honest, that we're the only developed country that does not have paid parental leave. And this goes a little bit farther. And one group that it would help tremendously, many people, but it particularly helps women because if it's a child or it's a parent or a spouse or your own health issues and you have to leave work to take care of these, you then have financial worries on top of everything else, and you don't have a job to go back to. So if we could pass paid parental leave, we'd keep people in the workforce. They could the strain on their finances, and so their mental and physical health would be completely, well, would be helped tremendously because they would be able to go back to work. And almost every other country in the world, every developed country certainly has paid parental leave. This just broadens it a little bit so that if it's a family member, and the definition for family member is fairly broad because families are different these days.
Right, and so I guess the main criticism that I've read about the bill is that Republicans, I guess, seem to think that it's a big government program or something. I mean, I guess I would ask if you wanted to respond to that criticism.
Sure.
Um,
Sure. Um, and I will say, in fact, I have to say that at the hearings, we had so many people because this is the second time I've carried it. I did it back in 2019, almost the exact same bill. And this is the Made in Montana, Made for Montana bill. So it really focuses on what would work here in Montana because we do have a smaller population from which to draw funds and all those things. So the at each hearing, the line was out the door, backed up on the Zoom this year, to people testifying in support of this. We had it from people who had experienced loss or the difficulties of losing a job. We had from small business owners who would give anything to be able to offer this to their employees, but they just can't pencil it out without having something to help. It should be easier in larger companies, but this would help. So we had people across the board. The only opponents both times were the Chamber of Commerce. And then a woman this time who represents the small businesses. And I said, did you ask all your members? Because we had small businesses coming in advocating for this and didn't get a response to that. But because the Chamber of Commerce just doesn't want their businesses to have to pay anything. This would, yes, it is a government-run program, but it's just like unemployment insurance, and nobody bats an eye at unemployment insurance. We accept that. We know it's really important, and boy, has the past year shown how important it is. It works off the same program. So the employer puts in, the employee puts in, and then when there's a medical or some family emergency, there are funds to draw from. It helps the businesses because they don't have to, they can hold the position, they can hire somebody to fill in temporarily, and then they get their employee back who they know, who's a good employee. And everybody, it's just makes for such a great working environment having those kinds of insurances. So I disagree that it's government overreach. I think, and when you think of how many countries do it, It's something we need to do. There are a few states, 5 or 6 that are implementing it, and we can't be behind the 8 ball on this. We don't want to be the 50th state to implement it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I also what I've read is that it would be basically a very small amount that these businesses would have to put in. I mean, if all the businesses are participating, then the fund would be small. I mean, well, the fund would be big, but the businesses would be not have to spend a lot of money on this.
I won't bore you with the fiscal note, but it is such a little amount. It is such a little amount. It's like $8 a month, even less, depending on what you have. And employees would be willing to do that, to know that in an emergency. So it comes out to a very small amount. What gets paid out, it depends on what your salary is. Obviously, if you make $140,000 a year,
Hmm.
you don't get that exact amount. If you're in the very lowest income bracket, you get pretty much full percent. But it just like with unemployment insurance, it gives you enough that you can not have to worry about paying your mortgage and your grocery bills and that sort of thing.
Right. And I
So
guess,
yeah, it's a small amount.
yeah, yeah. And I guess my last question would be what are the chances of this passing? I guess maybe in this legislative session or future legislative sessions.
Well, I couldn't, both last session and this session, I couldn't get it out of business and labor.
Yeah.
And one of my arguments at the end was, let's take it to the floor just to let the whole body debate it, because it's 20 people that get to decide whether this is going to. It didn't. My party is very much in the minority this session, so we didn't get it out. But some things they wanted to get out, they said, yeah, let's take it to the whole floor. So we just have to keep chipping away at it, and it's one of those things we will bring every session until we pass it. And I look at things like full day kindergarten, which everybody takes for granted now. That took maybe 5 or 6 sessions to get it through. This is the third time we have brought this, the second time I've brought it. And it really is a great bill. It's very, very doable. It's just, there's this pushback about, well, I don't know.
I agree. I mean, I agree with you. It is a great bill. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of parties that lose, if it were to be passed.
No, it really isn't. One of the pushbacks, just to be fair, is that they don't like mandates. They don't like something to be mandatory.
Right.
But if you say people can opt in or opt out, it's not going to work, because you need that pool of people that are building into the fund. And it would be an outlay the first couple of years, but then in a few years out, it'll pay for itself.
Mm-hmm.
There won't be so much. Well, the government will have to put in some, but it'll be a minimal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of upfront cost. They say a lot, but I think of other things that get funded. And so,
right.
And then it works. And
Mm-hmm.
it really is and again, it has to be one of those things that you do something for the greater good.
Yes.
Because, otherwise it would be too expensive.
Exactly.
But it would be it is worth every penny.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's a great bill. I'm glad that we got to talk about it today.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, we're about out of time for the video, so I will stop the recording. But thank you very much for doing this.
Well, thank you, and this is great. Anytime, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for.
Yeah, thank you.